Johnson, good morning. What's on your agenda today besides getting out there and voting? How does one spend the final day of the primary? Jeff Johnson? Did we lose? Oh, there he is.
I'm here.
All right.
There we go.
The final day is always kind of hard because you never know what to do, but we'll do some retail politicking. I have to go vote. I got some radio today along with you guys. I'm actually going to go in and go vote no on something on the Hennepin County Board today because my constituents are paying me for that job, so I'm going to show up for it today. And then this afternoon we'll just get back out and talk to as many people as we can, just maybe out in a few cafes or restaurants. And then it's party time.
We did want to ask you about the Hennepin County to Select Nonprofit for Immigrant Legal Defense Fund. This out of the Star Tribune. Is that what you're heading over to vote no on, or something else?
No, it's that. I mean, something else might pop up, but that one certainly, that one's obvious. And for those who don't know about it, we're going to spend $275,000 a year, and it's going to be more than that in the end, to provide free lawyers to illegal immigrants so that they can fight immigration officials. They can fight ICE. And at the same time, of course, they're
not free
every year, right?
They're not free.
Yeah, somebody's got to pay for
Yeah, we're paying for them.
That's right.
Yeah, that's very nice of us.
And actually, I mean, that one is so outrageous that I don't lose 6-1. I lose 4-3. So we're getting close.
Jeez, man.
My good. We don't spend we haven't spent a lot of time talking about your job and your role on the Hennepin County Board, but man, I got to imagine just being that lone voice on there. It's gotta be frustrating sometimes.
It is sometimes, although I mean I know what my role is. So number one is when we do just utterly ridiculous things to make sure the public knows about it, and sometimes stop them. So that is, I mean, that's not a bad role. And then the other piece is every once in a while we can actually accomplish something really good by cobbling together three others and get a 4-3 majority, or frankly, more often doing it behind the scenes when nobody's paying any attention. Because there are, I talk a lot about state agencies and some people in state government being arrogant and having this culture of wanting to control everybody. We have that in Hennepin County too, but there are still a lot of great county and state employees who want to do the right thing, and you just have to figure out who they are and work with them. So you can still get some things done and make things better for people, but it can be, it feels like I'm banging my head against the wall some days.
What would you consider, and refresh my memory as to how long you've been serving on the county board, but what would you consider being that lone voice, being that lone Republican, what would you consider your greatest victory in your time there?
We've really changed the way, we haven't changed the way we measure programs. We started measuring programs because we really weren't doing it. 9 years ago, I believe, that I was elected, and I'm in my third and final term, regardless of this governor's race. But government is terrible about this, but particularly big local government, where you just keep adding program after program after program because this new idea comes out of this, you've got a new group of people in town who need help. And we never go back and look at the programs, especially the older programs that have been around for 30 or 40 years, and see if they're actually doing anything. I mean, I can't tell you how many times in government I have heard, well, if you fund this program, you'll save 10 times as much down the road. But we keep doing that, and somehow budgets never drop. They just keep going up. So measuring whether these things are actually moving people to self-sufficiency, which is what we want and would save us money in the long run, that's what we should be doing. And we have programs in place now to do that at the county level. We can still get much better. That's something we have to start doing at the state level now, too.
Assuming for just a moment, looking towards the general, that things work out in your favor today, how much thought has gone into that? How much thought has gone into Wednesday and moving forward? I mean, and I ask that knowing that there's still a big question mark on who the opposition is going to be, and there's so many question marks across the board in so many different races. And let me add just one more thing to that, because this is a long, convoluted way to ask this question. But one more thing to add to that. I'll tell you, for me as this voter, it is frustrating when you look at the DFL side of things, and you're not hearing, you probably won't be hearing much about issues being talked about because there's so many controversies taking place. So I imagine that makes it difficult to sort of calculate, what your move is going to be moving forward.
Well, a little bit, because each of the three governor candidates have different weaknesses and different strengths, obviously, so you're going to take a somewhat different approach. But we've been talking about the general throughout the primary and trying to run both at the same time. And, my message is not going to change, other than my, distinguishing between my opponents going to be different now.
Yeah.
And even easier than it is now, because even if you end up with one of the two candidates who the media claims are more, quote, moderate than Aaron Murphy, look at the positions they've taken in this primary. Yeah. And they are going to attempt to run back to the middle as fast as they can. But we will not allow them to do that, because they have taken positions on single-payer health care and driver's licenses for illegal aliens, and marched in abolished ICE parades and everything else under the sun. And for them to pretend that they're really just a moderate Democrat is preposterous. And honestly, I think that's what annoys people almost more than anything about politics now, is politicians who just simply don't stand for anything other than what they think they have to on that particular day.
Yeah.
So, I think they've created a target-rich environment. Obviously, it's the two Aarons. That's a different issue. They're not going to try to run to the middle. They will at least be honest about who they are. And, I don't know which one's easier, but there's going to be a lot of ammunition there. My message about what I will do in changing the culture of government and giving people control over their own money and over their own businesses and farms and kids will be the same, but we'll have a different story to tell about the other side.
Wanted to bring you on today, and I have extended the offer to other candidates as well. But I wanted to bring you on. The main reason is to make that last minute pitch. If you are confronted by somebody who is still on the fence and not sure who they want to vote for today, give them your last minute sort of elevator pitch of why they should fill out the circle next to Jeff Johnson.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So, two things for me against Tim Pawlenty. It's Tim and me in the primary. Number one, I believe I'm a stronger candidate in November, and we have to win. We're on the road to California if we don't win this election. And I say I'm the stronger candidate for two reasons. Number one, I am going to have a very enthused, energetic, united base behind me if I'm the candidate. We are going to need that. This is going to be a base election. We're going to have to win independents, but if we don't have everybody in the base out there working and getting votes, it's going to be hard to win. I'll have that. Tim clearly won't. We'll be terribly, bitterly divided if he's the candidate. And the other is, I believe that if I am the candidate, this election will be about my vision for the future versus the DFL vision for the future. And I think we got a great shot of winning that race. If Tim is the candidate, and whether this is fair or not, it will be a referendum on Tim Pawlenty and his 8 years as governor and his lobbying and his comments about Donald Trump and probably several other things. And I think it's much harder to win that. And we saw it in the national poll that came out yesterday. I don't put great stock into polls, but Tim's really entire argument is, I'm a stronger candidate in November than Jeff. That poll clearly showed that he wasn't. I was doing better against both of the Democrats that they polled that he did. So that's part of it. And then the other part is, I think we'll be very different governors. We know what to expect from Tim because we've seen 8 years. He'll do some good things. He'll make his agencies a little more efficient and slow down what the Democrats desperately want to do. I'm going to go in there and disrupt the status quo and make fundamental change to government. We are going to clean house in our state agencies because that is a big part of the problem. Some of these folks outlast any governor, and we're going to fix a system, or at least make attempts to fix a system that has become terribly broken and seems to be more concerned about what the political class thinks than what you and I think or any voter out there thinks. So fundamental change versus business as usual.
I got to give you a lot of credit, Jeff Johnson. You've run you've run a very good campaign throughout this primary. You've worked really hard. You've done a lot of right things. And when you were talking about how motivated and energized the base is behind you, just from what I've been able to gather and from people I talk to and things that I see, I tend to agree wholeheartedly. I think that the people that are on the Jeff Johnson bandwagon are very much on it and are very much on board and have been out there working hard. And I think you deserve a lot of credit for how you've been able to sort of galvanize and coalesce that support behind you. So well done. Good luck today. And we'll hopefully be talking with you again real soon.
Avoid the dumpster fires. They're burning all over the place.
Yeah, I know. We'll just watch them. It's kind of fun. Thank you, guys.
All right, take care. Have a great day.